setting some appointments, and if not, we go about the administrative work of things that needs to be done. And the goal is to, set an appointment while you're prospecting, right? And if you don't, you can look for some more, do some more follow-ups to just create opportunity for appointments, for that day. That's pretty much it.
That's awesome, Gerry. Now, last year, and looking at your production, Gerry, and I'm going to reflect back to 2019 when you set your goals. When do you start typically, engaging your goals for the following year? Does that start like in November, December of what your mindset is? What is my target hit goal for the following year?
Well, honestly, I work with the office in that area. I've had a MAPS coach I've been in MAPS coaching for a long time, probably like 6-7 years now. So
okay.
Everything moves together. My MAPS coach, our office usually have a goal setting class that we take. And, I set it up from there. And what I have done very well is keep the goals in front of me. The truth is I've never really accomplished those goals in the last 10 years. You keep it in front of you and you keep working towards it, right? And okay, what am I batting? Am I batting 50%? Am I batting 30%? What it's going to take for me to bat 75 or 100%? And every now and then in a month, you hit your goal for that month. Great. Then you have those other months that what's going on? And you just keep working at it,
So basically, go ahead, Gerry, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so just going back to 2019, I think Ashley was the MAPS coach that did the business clinic. And I kind of listened to her in terms of, set the goals, let it be big, and work towards it, and just put a plan towards it. So, and that's, I became more intentional on doing that, putting plans like, okay, really analyzing the year before, okay, how many contacts did I make? How many leads did I get from it? How many appointments came from that? And just be more intentional, like, okay, if you're gonna get this much more, then you need to do this much contacts and, and this much, get this much leads. So something about writing everything down before you, I really think it creates your brain connection to doing activities to making those things happen.
Wonderful, thank you, Gerry. So let me ask you this question, Gerry, because what I really wanted to resonate from you is, when you set your goals and your expectations for the following year, as an example for 2021, and reflecting back on 2020, when you were initiating your goals, you're telling us that you write it all down, right? And you put it somewhere where you visualize it, consistently see it, so that way you stay on track each and every month. Is that what I'm hearing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's
Awesome.
very powerful for the brain. I mean, I'm a student of bold, as you know, taken bold 18 different times. And I think it finally resonated. It took a while to resonate in my head. It finally resonated that, okay, if you have this goal and you put it down before you, and it's cool to put it on the computer, but I think it's always better visually before you. Something about your brain get you into activity that's going to make manifest, getting close to those goals.
Beautiful. Awesome, Gerry. So you said something to me that really just made me think. You're telling us that there is no magic wand, no magic pill, right? That ultimately got you to the caliber of being a mega agent. To do 49 transactions as an individual agent, and more so do 25+ million in value. What's the magic sauce? What is the formula that you do that you can share with the entire group?
That's pretty interesting. I took
We
bold so
all
many
want to
times.
hear it, right, Gary? We all want to hear what that formula is. What is it that makes these agents do consistent business? And then there's other agents that are struggling on a regular basis. So I just want to hear it from your perspective of what you're doing that works. Because obviously there's something that's working.
Well, I think when we think outside of ourselves, a lot of times when we think about ourselves only, there's so much that's going to drive us to be great for ourselves. It's just so much, right? When you go outside of yourself and think of others around you, your family, if you have goals to help the community, I think those begin to drive you more. And when you have someone that's working for you, uh, you're in a team, in bold, I had to analyze what I do. Whenever I'm in bold, I do very well. And when I get out of bold, just like everybody else, I just lay off. I don't do much. And analyzing it, I realize when I'm in bold and I'm in a community and trying to get that community to do well, I'll work my tail off to see everybody else do well. Like, even though it's your individual thing, but it makes your team look better. I find that that's a driving force for me. Uh, and and that's the same thing when it comes to when I created this lofty goal. For so many years, I've always like, I have a goal to do 33 transactions. And I think about 3 years ago, I started aiming for 50. Never quite achieve it. And then last year, my coach actually took me through the exercise, like, okay, what would be a really great life for you? And I'm like, okay, I have a daughter that's going to medical school. I really don't want her to, because I have so many clients that have, uh, student loan that's, loaded up here that they can't get qualified for what they want. So I'm like, I'd like to create a lifestyle where I can take care of stuff for her. So we're like, okay, what would that look like? So we really just look at the whole, okay, if she was to go to, medical school and it's going to cost her 200,000. So now put that $200,000 into your 1 year goal and see if you can achieve that. So it just drives you a little bit more. So when you know you don't make your contacts, you're not giving you a slack, for not making it. You just go forward for it. And that's really, it really comes down to that. It stays in the activities. When I was taking bold, like I said, I'll be really into activities while I'm in bold. When I come out of it, I stay off. Uh, you know, all of those things kind of come together, 18 times of doing that over and over. I think I finally got it. By the time I was there the last time, it's like, okay, Gerry, you need to have this thing down now. Where you stay in it no matter what, bold or not, you stay in it. And that got my mindset right, where, okay, you don't always achieve what you want, but if, I always applaud the activities, stay in the activities, and then whatever's going to come, your numbers is going to reflect what it's supposed to reflect based on, what you're doing. But you got to be doing something to get there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing, Gerry. I talk to the group on a weekly basis, and I always stress and emphasize, what income producing activity are you doing on a regular basis? Because that's the end goal to get you to achieve your expectations, is what activities are you doing? Just like you stated, Gerry, you have to. Business doesn't come your way, right? It just doesn't get thrown at you and you get a listing from people calling you, right? You have to hit your database. And then I know you're a perfect example to that is hitting your database consistently, picking up the phone, making the initial contact, and asking and earning your business.
I'm pretty sure there are people on this group that have a database of really, really high achieving individuals, right? Um, Imagine when we stay connected with them. You know, I'm a proponent of Gerry Keller's advice, and he's been telling us, don't look at the aggregators, look at yourself for business. It's a relationship that you create. And some people, I mean, my database hasn't really given me high achieving clients, but I am creating them along the way. What do I mean by
Right.
that? Maybe I don't have $1 million. I do maybe $4 or $5 million deals a year. Uh, but I'm creating people that start at 200,000, and then the next deal was 400, and the next is 600, and next is 800. So, but there are people here that already have connections with people that are really high achievers, that they're in the $2 million range. And it's just, it always puzzles me that people they have a reluctancy to call their database for business when you're just leaving money to somebody else right there. Um, I had I guess, an epiphany about 2 years ago with my coach. We went through my previous year production, and I love doing cold calls. I really do. I feel like I'm good at it. I know the script and all that stuff. And but we looked at it, and we looked at how much of my calls were cold calling and how much of my calls were to database. And it's like 90 to 10, right? But then the business that come from that cold calling, I was averaging about 25 to 28 deals then. And out of those 25, the 90% I put in maybe gave me 5 deals. And the 10% I put in gave me, 20 deals. So, and my coach is like, can we just turn that around at least 50-50, where you put in 50% to your database and 50% to cold calling, and let's see what that changes. And honestly, I really think that's the result of what we got last year. Is that when you start honing in on your database, uh, those business begin to come. I mean, in January, we put in 7 buyers in escrow. And people think, oh, you can do buyer deals because they were database, they were manageable, deals. If it was cold calling buyers, it's not as manageable. So now you're struggling with one buyer for the whole month. So, if I'm just gonna say anything to anyone, is look at your database. That's where your gold part is. And really putting energy in there. And you still got to look for something outside of that. I get it. But if we're all putting a little bit more to that, I really believe everybody will get much more better production.
Beautiful. Gerry, so what does your database look like? How many do you have on your database?
In total, we have about close to 3,000. But connected of those, which is what we've been really, last year I went through calling everybody because I've been using, phone dialer, and the phone dialer, even if it's your database and it's a do not call list, it's not going to call. But my database are people I can call. So I've actually gone to manual dialing for my database because, those are people that know me. And it's really great because now all of a sudden, oh, you haven't come in so many years. And I know those people very well, but because my phone dialer has been skipping everybody, I've been missing a lot of connections. So I'm getting those connections. So now when I'm doing cold calls, I use my phone dialer. I don't care at that point. But when I'm doing my database call, because it doesn't matter if they're DNC, they're people that know me, they will receive my call and they will talk to me, right? So
Right.
I think my connected calls is around 700. And my goal this year, now that I know who my connected are, like, okay, I'm gonna hone in and calling those people 3 or 4 times a year. Everybody else, they just get the regular emails and stuff like that. So that way I can get, more out of them.
Beautiful. Now, do you also have an assistant that helps you with a lot of your database?
Well, Right now, I've got 2 people on staff.
Okay.
I have my personal assistant that does, all the transaction, following up with the clients. I also hired a VA assistant that's really just for my lead generation time. We're on a Zoom call, and I think that's really, it's like bold on steroids. It cost me $1,300 a month, but because I know that person is there, I got to make the call. So, and together, and actually a lot of, because I'm really good at getting leads and forgetting about where the leads come from, because I write papers everywhere. She's really more articulate, putting everybody down and reminding me, okay, you have this person that you're supposed to follow up on. It's really, really good. Cyberbacker, my coach introduced me to it, and we started that in November, and I can't wait because I can see definitely it's increased and it's make me more purposeful too, so it's hardly a month goes by that I don't hit my 400 calls. I mean, we're on point with that, and we'll see how this year pan out.
So let me make sure I got this correct, Gerry. You say you make 400 calls.
In a month, yeah.
Okay. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, there is no magic wand, no magic pill to this. It's just good old hard work, dedication, hitting your database, and ultimately the end result is proven fact that the consistency of your business will generate the opportunities and then the conversion, right? Because even though you make those commitments of hitting the calls, if your commitment is to do 25 calls, right, on a regular basis, say each and every day for 5 times out of the week, it's the conversions, right? Knowing how to handle the platform of objections, right? Knowing what to do, what to say. So, and that's where Gerry really fine tunes his ability to really have those conversations, convert those into appointments, and then ultimately, get the deal in escrow. Now, what is your percentage of clients that you work mostly? Is it more buyers or is it more sellers?
Well, it's depends from my database. My database tends to give me a lot of buyers, right? It's just the way it is. And as they get better and better, maybe when I get those buyers buying properties, few years down the line, I'll have a lot more database to give sellers. Yeah, so if we look back at last year production, I think 40% was sellers, 60% were buyers. So it's you just I had to make comfortable with myself on that one, because we're so told in this business, you got to look for sellers, which is good, which is great actually. However, you've got to make activities, and then activities will produce what it's going to produce for you. So that's the way I look at it.
Great. Okay, so you're saying last year was more buyers. What's your focus for 2021? What are you focused on? Buyers or sellers, or a combination of both?
It's a combination. Again, my goal, I tell my staff, the goal is, if I'm gonna do a lot buyer business, because I'm getting a lot more buyers business, so I'm looking to kind of develop a team concept, because it's tough to manage so many buyers, individually. But of course, sellers is easy to manage. So for the purpose of having a life and having time for family and all that stuff, yeah, you definitely want to be focused on sellers where you can. However, my goal is to contact my database and extract what I can extract from it. And whatever that may be, then I'm going to create a system around that. So that's kind of the goal going forward.
I love it. Awesome. I know there was a question that came in here, Gerry, and hopefully you can help answer this question. But the question is from Emilio. It says, those 400 calls that you make, is that part of your SOL, or is it a combination of both?
My focus, and this I pick up from Cody Gibson, who's the maps coach. Monday, Tuesday, I always do cold call. Unless I'm exhausted with making, if I do 2 hours of cold call, I only got 10 contacts, I'll go back to my database. But generally Monday, Tuesday, we're doing cold calls. Wednesday, I'm doing follow-ups. Those are my contacts for Wednesday. Just follow up. So most of my appointments are set on Wednesday. And then Thursday and Friday is primarily my database call.
Beautiful. Awesome. We got a question from Frank Kenny. Who's doing most of your showings?
Well, up till now, I've done the showing, and people say, how can you have so many business as an individual agent? Sean Kokoska gave us this when you're in bold. I bought this buyer presentation thing with him, and it's really about just educating people. When you meet with people the very first time, it's really critical. If you meet people online and you just go to show them properly, you're gonna be in that thing for a while. The skill is to pull them into your nest. Even during COVID time, I encourage them as much as possible to come into the office. If not, with the Zoom call, you don't have as much control on the Zoom call. But the key thing is on a buyer consultation, there's a thing there that talks about how many homes does an average buyer looks at. And you show that on video for them that most buyers look at 5 homes and they make an offer. So we want you to be like most buyers, right? We don't want you to be extreme on one side. And I even try to encourage them, the first home we show you may be the very best one. And you got to make that offer. And if you get the offer accepted, you want to go with it, because if you try to go somewhere else, looking for something else, you may end up selling for less than what you've got. If you have that conversation up front, it's really powerful, where you show 2 or 3 properties and you put them in escrow 1. Rather than, there are some, of course, extreme buyers that you got to show freaking 20 properties before you find something to them. But I'm really, really good at putting that script before them. And honestly, I think it always work out, best for them anyway. So that's the key. That's the key, that if you have 3 buyers that you're showing 20 properties, well, of course, you're not going to be able to get anybody in escrow that quick, right? So. Something to take in.
Hey, Gary, it's Frank. I think Simon got disconnected or something. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. One other question is from Lewis, and it says, Gary, when did you know when you needed assistance?
When you get to the point where you can't handle everything by yourself, you need an assistant. Or you're going crazy, like, okay, you can't breathe, you can't do nothing. Everybody's ability is different, but when you get to that point, you need to get an assistant. And even my assistant, who was a great addition to my business, when it got to the point, she got so busy, we had 20 escrow at one time, and she started going nuts. Now you need to get an assistant for that assistant. So that's how we went with the VA for that person. So, that's when you know you need to get some help.
Yeah. Well, my experience, Gary mentioned 20 sales, or his assistant was doing 20 and she was going crazy. I don't think you need to be at 20 to figure out you need an assistant. I don't think that's what Gary was saying. He did say that when you just can't do everything, that's when you need assistance. Is that right, Gary?
Well, actually, I've had an assistant with me for a long time. There's just some stuff I'm not good at. So I don't, what you're not good at, you better getting help on that. Even when I wasn't making money, I was still paying the assistant the money. I just wasn't paying them enough money. So I couldn't keep them to stay for long. And, once you start making better money, you compensate them equally and they're happier and everybody stays in together. But yeah, if you have a vision for big business, you can't do big business by yourself, for sure. You got to get some help.
Yeah.
And if you get talent that can, create systems, for you, then you can go along further.
Okay, got it. Sorry, Simon, I think you got knocked off there, so I just asked a question.
Yeah, thank you, Frank. Appreciate you stepping in and helping. I don't know what happened with the system, but it just logged me out and then just reconnected. So thanks, Frank, for spearheading it. All right, Gerry, it's 8:31. Any final thoughts that you'd like to give the group before we close?
Not much. I think we've kind of, run through all the possible stuff, in the question answers. It's just, to encourage everybody. Bottom line is, for you to get business, you have to look for business. I always talk about the energy that you create from looking for business. When you're looking for business, business will sometimes find you. But you have to stay in the intention of looking for that business. And how do you look for business? Well, it's either you're networking constantly. If you're a network person, you're making calls, constantly. If you're a caller, but bottom line, real estate is a contact business. There's got to be contact made at whatever level you like to make your contacts for business to come. And then you stay in that activity, and you stay in it, and you stay in it, and you stay in it. And opportunities will keep coming your way. All right?
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Gerry. Really appreciate the valuable information that you provided to the group.
Sorry, everybody.
Hey, Simon, you're underwater there.
One, just to kind of recap is, hitting your database. Can you hear me okay now?
Nope.
Hi, Gerry. I don't know. Maybe Manny can step in real quick.
Simon, you're in and out, but Gerry Nix, you're a superstar. Not just by your actions, but the fact that you have such an incredible attitude to the business. Very different than a lot of guys in your position that they're extremely successful and committed to success. You're all about culture. You're about sharing. You're about giving back. You're a man of faith, and you live by it. And I thank you and thank Simon for that presentation and sharing. We can probably listen to you talk and share for hours, but we do like the gist and the juice of that success. So once again, and sorry for the Wi-Fi quality over there, Simon. Thank you. But Gerry Nix, you're a superstar, and can't thank you enough for being you and sharing with us today.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. I hope everybody got something from it, and you all have a great day. Here's what I'll say for everybody. Now that, it's not that now that we got the information, the information is always there. Let's just go to work. I love for all. Let's rule the town that we're in. Let's make a difference to our family. Let's just go to work and get it done. Okay? All right. Thank you so much.
Gerry Nix, thank you. Simon, good job today. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody. Thanks for showing up.